According to Stats SA, gambling is on the rise in South Africa. Data shows that gambling and betting activities are listed as one of 391 products and services in the 2025 CPI basket. This includes lottery tickets, casinos, betting, bingo, and limited payout machines. The activity accounts for 1.6% of total household spending, placing it at the 12th highest weight in the basket, just behind beer. JustMoney says South Africans are betting beyond their means. In its inaugural large-scale survey, Money and Me, gambling is seen as a viable income-stretching option by those who can least afford it. The survey found that 3% of survey respondents chose online gambling as a cost-cutting option. Those taking home less than 5,000 rand a month are 4 times more likely to choose online gambling. Just Money urges gamblers to reach out for help as soon as signs of addiction surface.
Once you're addicted, you're not setting a limitation on what you're spending. You're almost certainly going to lose everything that you're spending. Then you start getting into debt, and then financial ruin is not far behind. You start losing assets, and that's where we really start to see things like relationship breakdown as well. So, again, when you start seeing those triggers that you're really having trouble controlling this habit of yours, that it's costing you more than you can afford to lose, that's when you really need to reach out for help.
The National Responsible Gambling Program treatment professional, Lucretia Nkambule, says gambling is a clinical disorder.
Responsible gambling can be seen as a way of, being responsible and knowing, when to stop, right? When you've reached your limits and just literally deciding as to, that I'm now getting at a space of losing control, and therefore I want to take control by stopping. But then, like I said, from a perspective of, being clinicians and working with the diverse clients that we do who experience problematic gambling behavior, which can lead to your gambling disorder, which is a mental illness, and I'm hoping we can unpack that. It's quite a difficult word, responsible gambling, because what is it? Does it mean that despite the fact that we are diagnosed with a gambling disorder, does it still encourage me to, continue gambling, being able to apply, the limits and whatnot? And there's a difference. There's like, it's clinical. It's a disorder.
According to the National Gambling Board of South Africa, gross gambling revenue grew to 59.3 billion rand in the 2023-24 financial year, up from 47.2 billion rand in the previous year and 34.4 billion rand in 2021-22 and 23.3 billion rand in 2020-21. Gambling industry reform advocate Makashule Gana says while gambling contributes to the country's economy, there needs to be reforms introduced to help curb irresponsible gambling.
The role of the banks is critical. We shouldn't be allowing people to gamble on credit and overdraft. At the moment, we are allowing people to gamble on credit and overdraft. So these are the things that the new legislation must look at. So the role of the bank, the role of the Payment Association, the role of the South African Reserve Bank comes into play. In that way, you have got the entirety of the industry. So we have to overhaul the entire legislative and regulatory framework. We don't need this piecemeal, and I'm glad that in my conversation with my colleague here, we agree that we need a complete overhaul of the legislative regime, including the 1% mandatory. We should not be having any operator in South Africa that says it's optional to contribute to the Responsible Gambling Foundation.
Meanwhile, the National Gambling Board of South Africa warns that criminals are using gambling institutions as a way to launder and legitimize ill-gotten gains. The board urges these institutions to report cash from a client over 49,000 rand to the Financial Intelligence Center, FIC. Nothando Makutulela, SABC News, Johannesburg.